Hey everyone, I'm Rob. It's Sunday today, so that means it's time to sit down and chat all things ChatGPT and generative AI and catch up with the news in the week. So let's jump right into the news this week. Meta has some exciting announcements to make regarding Voicebox. So they have released in this article, which I'll of course put in the description, an AI model that does text-to-speech and other actual exciting tasks. So in this document and in this article, they talk about how this was trained and that it was an unintentional outcome of their training of different models. And what they also talk about is that it has the capability of being zero shot when it comes to text to speech. Now, a month back, we talked about zero shot and what that means. And just as a reminder, so AI models, typically in the past, AI models have been trained iteratively. So they have a very specific set of training instructions, they have training data, and then they're trained in multiple iterations to give you this output. Now, what zero shot means is that the models are so advanced that they don't have to have the specific training to give you the specific output. They can take all the relevant other sets of training instructions and provide you output. And what that means is that we get such higher performance, faster performance, and less need for training for specific instances in these models. So what this means is that you wouldn't need to train this model to say, okay, I have an error in my speech, please remove this dog barking in the background. And you wouldn't have to record the speech 10 times without the dog barking in the background for it to do it. It would just be able to do it. So they actually give an example of specifically that later on in the article. For example, they show that you can stylistically transfer
lush forests and diverse
words. So we have this person recording
The quick brown
this
fox
text
jumps over the lazy dog.
in the tone and speech, and then we have content in which they'll put in, and then the model should replicate this.
The country's lush forests and diverse ecosystems. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Okay, not entirely perfect. However, this is pretty exciting. They also show an instance of audio editing. So, for example, the dog in the dog in the background.
Thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to show you how to create
here we
a
have the dog
beautiful
barking.
flower arrangement. Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to create
There
a
we
beautiful
go.
flower arrangement.
Cool. I wonder to what extent Meta uses voice notes from Facebook, from Instagram, audio, etc. Like, I really am curious to know. Anyways, let's move on from that. In some other exciting news, Stability AI has announced the release of their Stable Diffusion XL 0.9 model. And what this means and what they're saying in this article is that there is a whole ton more of parameters, meaning that the image generation that you can make is wildly improved. So they talk about it in this article. They also show some examples of some of the output they have been able to generate using this model. So really, I mean, looking at this Las Vegas alien example is pretty incredible. Same with wolves in Yosemite National Park. This looks almost real, I would say. Still some hallucinations, still a bit of kind of watercolor effect, but you can see that really the output is getting more and more accurate and precise. And I really do have to laugh at this person's prompt that they put in aesthetic. Amazing. This one is for the girlies. So in here they talk about the features, the increase in parameter count, and then also the requirements that you will need if you want to try to use this. They do mention a NVIDIA GeForce 20 card. So that means that I wonder if the price of video cards will go up. Again, this is not investment at all, but I wish that I had not student loans and I could spend that money investing in NVIDIA. We'll get in trouble for saying that, but I'm going to stop talking and move on to the next topic. Now, in some regulatory news, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has been continuing the rounds and chatting about regulations. And in this time in this article, chatting about basically that he's kind of looking for amendments to the EU's the EU's AI Act, and hoping that it can be watered down in some places. For example, that if there are specific things that the EU requires, that they can go ahead and put in kind of the training, or that they can put in the guardrails already for it without having to go through lengthy review EU processes. I'm curious about how this is going to shape out, but even more so interesting, Stanford has published a compliance nice chart about how the different AI models and organizations rank from a compliance perspective. So actually, you can see here the best is Bloom from Hugging Face. I found this pretty interesting. Also too interesting to look at OpenAI, that their data sources, of course, aren't that well known. I think it's also really interesting to look from an energy perspective, and that's one video that I'd love to do at a certain point about the cost of AI from a sustainability perspective for training models, because of course that is very high in cloud computing. And of course we know that cloud computing data centers typically are powered by what you'd say dirty or traditional energy sources. But anyway, so this is super interesting graphic. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that out. Now, in some other news that should not shock anyone at all, ZDNet put an article saying that 92% of programmers are using AI tools, and that's from a GitHub developer survey. This is not surprising whatsoever. I know that this is going to be really the future of programming. Of course, we have applications like GitHub Copilot already embedded in many organizations. I think this is, for me, I wanted to share this because, it's not so much that we're going to go to a no-code future in which programmers are going to be obsolete, but I think that there's going to be, these applications are going to be embedded very quickly into organizations, especially when it comes to the software development lifecycle process, in particular, perhaps, testing, testing, looking for security vulnerabilities. This shouldn't be a surprise at all, and for many of you that are listening that work in organizations with a software engineering or development department, I think that you probably already know this already, and it's good to of course play with this to understand and to kind of keep your skills sharp. And moving along, this is a clear message that I got out of teaching at the right time. I'm kidding, kind of. So Independent has published an article saying that Harvard's new computer science teacher is a chatbot. So in this article, that of course I will link in the description, they mentioned that that Harvard University plans to use an AI chatbot similar to ChatGPT as an instructor for its Introduction to Computer Programming course. Now, the nice thing about this is that students are encouraged to use artificial intelligence and tools like ChatGPT when they begin in September, and I think this is nice. I think, if I was still a teacher teaching at a university, I would, of course, make this mandatory in at least one of my courses about using prompts. Because this is really going to be the future, and it pretty much already is. So what they hope, and what the Harvard Crimson has reported, is that our hope is that through AI we can eventually approximate a 1-to-1 teacher to student ratio for every student in this computer science class, as by providing them with a software-based tool, 24/7 support for their learning at pace and a style that works best for them individually. So I think this is really neat when it comes to the perspective of student-centered teaching. And I think, instant gratification, at least my experience in teaching, getting emails and then a day later being like, hey, have you checked my email? Sometimes instant gratification, student anxiety, etc. Could potentially benefit from having a chatbot. I can also imagine it lowers department administrator fees. I just hope that they supplement this with an actual teacher, which I think that they do. But anyways, the future is coming. In other news, when people have mentioned that applications like ChatGPT and the accessibility of AI through OpenAI, through ChatGPT, through Stable Diffusion is like the new sort of revolutionary iPhone moment, Yeah, I agree. This is something that we're seeing, and we're seeing this now almost kind of like history repeating itself in Routers reporting that OpenAI plans to open an app store for AI software. So this was shared a couple weeks ago that they do plan to launch a marketplace to allow developers to sell their AI models. This is fantastic. You know, of course, I can imagine this is going to go into, you know, enterprise-wide solutions, etc. We're gonna. Yeah, I'm curious. There'll be an Apple and Android store. I mean, now there's going to be an OpenAI store. So this is also really exciting for people that have participated in the prompt hackathons, that have been designing applications that are, you know, really testing the limits in some of the applications and designs that they've been making and sharing on GitHub. And now you can monetize it, and maybe OpenAI will also use Apple's lucrative 30% rule. Yeah. Now, in all this chat about AI, we cannot forget about our good friend Google. Google recently has been announced saying that their company's AI will surpass ChatGPT. So Google DeepMind CEO says that their new AI, Gemini, is set to eclipse OpenAI's ChatGPT with the use of new AlphaGo techniques and features, including it being multimodal. So, for example, putting in an image and saying, describe this image in text, or putting in voice and, you know, having a painting made out of a voice prompt. So, you know, different modalities as input and output. We'll see. We will see. I don't want to be skeptical, but we'll see. I mean, hey, the more the merrier. And it is time to end on the Reddit roundup. So the first interesting Reddit post that I found on Reddit on the ChatGPT subreddit was that ChatGPT helps with somebody's spouse with schizophrenia and overcoming cognitive obstacles to communication. This I find really interesting, that sometimes the person that has schizophrenia has disjointed and chaotic thoughts, and they put it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to make sense of them. So I guess in the past he's been really frustrated with his inability to articulate his thoughts, and he claims that through ChatGPT being able to correctly understand and articulate what he's trying to communicate has led to really overcoming issues regarding this. So that's super cool. To move on to the next Reddit roundup, okay, speaking about an OpenAI store, I mean, this would be an app that I would consider downloading. So this is gptrolley.com. So you have the famous trolley and the moral ethical dilemma. If you have a few people on one track tied up and another person tied up on the track, and you pull the lever, it's who do you sacrifice, which is very morbid, but you can now put in these sorts of moral ethical conundrums into this, and it will tell you. So for example, this one with 5 terminally ill children and 1 super intelligent dog, and it will tell you which one that they would save. So you know what? We need a bit of joy. We need a bit of joy and laughter. So go over to gpttrolley.com and check that out. And lastly, in the Reddit roundup, so there was unfortunately that submarine that was in the news. We all heard about it, and hopefully, whatever. But ChatGPT, somebody put in a prompt of saying, hey, can you please explain what would happen in an implosion like that? So it goes into morbid detail. So if anybody is morbidly curious about this, they can read this post. They can read this post. Oh gosh. Well, I mean, hey, people are curious. Anyways, that's my story. Thank you so much for watching my video. And last but not least, in my personal life this week, things are getting better. One step at a time, finding joy where joy is possible. But yeah, I'm not gonna, Lana Del Rey is coming to Amsterdam, so that's enough, depression. Actually, let me rephrase that. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm finding joy. Life is good. Yeah, but it's a slower journey. So thank you so much for tuning back to my channel and giving me space. I appreciate your patience that some videos haven't been coming out lately, but I promise that there's more to come. Anyways, have a beautiful weekend, a wonderful day, evening, night, wherever you are, and yeah, I will catch you next time. Bye.